Hi. So I was talking on the Shorter app, and I started randomly cleaning my kitchen while I was talking, and the things I was talking about kind of like, then I listened to somebody else's, her talking, and it was similar to the vein, and, it really, so when I started this, it was for a lot of reasons. It wasn't just to talk about the sociological view of like Epstein and stuff like that. It was because one of the big things going on in my life is a divorce from someone who started out as my best friend and ended up as my abuser, and I need to process that because despite living it for the last, well, okay, so 25 years, but the last decade actively, I just stepped on glass while talking to you. That was awesome. I'm trying to make sure it's actually out of my foot because, like, it's hard. It's hard to tell if it's just like hurting because there's still glass in there, hurting because I ripped it open trying to get the glass out. I can't really tell what's going on right this moment. Some of this stuff shoved under my table that, like, I don't know, people just put it there. People just drop stuff in my house. We have drop zones everywhere. But I've been really actively trying to get the floors cleaner. Like, that's my big mission right now. Because we all like to walk on barefoot. And because it's one thing, right? One thing. But if you get the floors clean, you tend to get the room cleaner too. But you have to get the room cleaner to get the floor cleaner. Like, it just works out that way. Even if it's just piling it, like, obviously I have to deal with these piles now, but it's off the floor. These piles aren't here, by the way. This is a box of food that needs to be donated to a food bank, and our hats and scarves and stuff, which got put out during the blizzard and nobody ever put away. But other than that, I mean, the floor in the kitchen itself is mostly, I mean, it's coming along really well. Compared to how it's been in the past, it's really coming along well. I need to get, okay, so I'm going to have to run multiple vacuums. And the biggest problem is that I need to empty the one vacuum, but I sort of moved the trash cans so they get under where they normally are. And then I use them to pile a bunch of stuff on top of. So this is going to be interesting. So I love the mop vac I got, but it is not great at bigger, like chunky things. So I still find it important to run the vacuum, at least the like handheld part, before. So anyway, I'm gonna hit pause for just a second because I don't want to blow your eardrums out. See, this is not that loud. It's still kind of rude. Alright, I'm back. I just wanted to get up like the cat food and stuff because I find that with the new floor vac, if I don't, it sort of clogs it. Not in a real pleasant way. It'll still work, but it all jams up the roller, like, it doesn't work as well. So, and then I haven't tried this before, and I don't know that it's necessary, but there's some really, like, bad stains around the coffee area, and, there was so much worse before I started using this new shop vac. The whole area was awful, but I just thought maybe I, like, spot treated some of the worst stains with my Sentivia. First of all, things would smell good again, but it might help, I don't know, get some of the dirt off. I don't know. I really like this vacuum mop. It's a very, very good vacuum mop, but it is still a vacuum mop, Okay, so back to what I was making the video about. So it's time to, like, be a little real. I am one of those people. I was never very popular. I have a crap ton of friends. Very smart. I'm pretty enough, but I didn't know how pretty I was for a long time. I did not have any self-esteem for a long time. I started my life abused. I've already told that story recently, even. I didn't know. And I'm very quick to settle because I don't feel like I have a lot of choices. Or I didn't feel like I had a lot of choices anyway. I don't know how I feel right now. I still don't feel like I have a lot of choices, right? Like, I go on the apps and I find nothing. Real life is zero. My karate school, none of that is finding me any love. I don't think work is going to because it's me and another woman in an office for the main part. Although I guess we give trainings to doctors and teachers and cops and stuff, and who knows. I'm going to heat the water up for this vacuum I will talk to you through because it's not so loud. And if you can't hear me, then I guess I need to yell louder in the future or something. That should be warm enough. Anyway, so I have settled as an adult for things I probably should not have settled for. No, I definitely should not have settled for. I shouldn't say probably. That's ridiculous. I've been abused by every emotional partner I've had in one way or another. The ones who didn't care enough to even qualify. Like, they didn't really abuse me. They just, they just weren't involved at all. But the three that I would say were like serious emotional partners since I turned 18, the one in Wisconsin and both of my children's fathers abused me. The one in Bethlehem, who I think I still maintain to this day, like we were super compatible. We would have been great in a way. Was very honest about not wanting what I wanted. I didn't realize I wanted what I wanted, I guess. Like, I wanted to be with him. Being with him was like a drug. Felt good. We were compatible. Great sex life when we were together. I think I scared him in a way because of all that. Why is this not going back in? I need to put you down for a second because I can't get the water container to go back in the water spot, and that's going to be a real problem if I can't snap it in. Alright, I'll put you down for a second. Hold on. I don't know. The second I put you down, it went in perfectly. So we're going to turn it on. And we're going to cycle to ultra mode, and we're going to have 30 seconds. It's so loud. But, I mean, I spent like a couple years playing games with him that he was not playing games with me. He was honest from the beginning. Like, he was not going to commit to me. He wouldn't even return my phone calls during the week. Like, we were great together on the weekends. There were a couple times where he told me he loved me, or he'd say, yes, I'll see you next weekend, and then not talk to me all week. Oh, it's going to get dark for a second. I realized I had a cup I have to wash. Sometimes he'd say on Friday night, I want to do this for real. I'm sorry I've been to bed. And then, after he dropped me off Sunday, I wouldn't hear from him again. Somehow we strung these games together for like years. So, don't get me wrong. I knew it wasn't right. Gavin, are you in here? Where are you? Oh, didn't clean up the dining room. Sorry. Well, that's helpful. Anyway. So I thought my kid was asleep. Turns out he's awake. I don't know. No, you can't have your food dish back because I'm cleaning the floor. So you're just going to have to whine. I have very successful relationships. I've never had a really healthy adult relationship at all. My first relationship with my husband, the first time we were together, was the closest to healthy that any of my relationships have ever been. And that is qualified by the fact that I was 19, he was 20 when we met, and we were doing heroin together. So, I mean, I don't know how healthy the relationship was. It was the healthiest we've had in that it was based on communication and trust and friendship. And then, I don't think we were dishonest with each other. We were dishonest with everybody else. Because that's what drug addicts do. The only times we ever fought were when we ran out of drugs or when I wanted to get clean and he didn't. But, we were both selfish, and two selfish people can be together and it looks healthy because they're together, but that's so annoying. It's still innately unhealthy because neither one of them is a healthy human being, which is what I would say is most true about what him and I had the first time. Sorry, it's gonna take a second. I spilled coffee grounds all over the counter, and normally I just use the handbag to clean it up with. The handbag that's also the backpack, by the way. Not the mop bag. Yeah, it's both. It's a stick vac. It's great. We have this cute cabinet, counter trash can for our coffee grounds. But they don't always go in there well. I'm getting ready to run the dishwasher before bed. And it's not quite full, so I have room to run the coffee accessories through, which I don't do very often. the handles to everything are starting to get broken, which I think is because it literally says not dishwasher safe, and I think the handles are the part that aren't dishwasher safe. So try not to run those parts through at all, but that part can go through. It's the espresso thing, but because this coffee maker does not have an actual coffee basket, you use the espresso thing that I know the word of to make the coffee too. Everything goes through that basket. Alright, so never really had a healthy relationship is the point. And so when him and I met again, many years later. Okay, so I will tell you something before I go there. Sorry. I'll back up a little bit. The choo-choo trains track is like all convoluted. But after I left him the last time, I don't know if I left him or he left me, right? Because like we were together, but we hadn't really talked to each other in a long time. Because I was living in Allentown, clean, and in country house. And he was living in Quakertown, not clean, living his life however he lived it. We just sort of never broke up. And then I got kicked out and I went home. And I did not relapse. I got kicked out because the girls in my house primarily weren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. And they didn't like me being around because I was. Apparently, like, after they kicked me out, there were only 3 girls left in the house, and all 3 of them were using together, and they eventually got caught because it was an Oxford house, so there was like a higher grouping, like a corporate or something. Not corporate, but like I forget the word, but basically like a group, like a structure. Kind of like corporate would be for a business, but that's not what they were called there. So anyway, they eventually got caught, and whatever, I don't care. But it messed my life up pretty badly. So I went back to Quakertown, and I ran into him after I got there, and we just picked back up when we were still together for a little while, and then, but like he was still using and running the streets, and I was still basically clean, and I was actually still clean at that point. I got a job where that turned out not to be true after a while, but at that point I was actually still clean. I was clean for a little while when I came home. It took a minute before I actually relapsed, but he told me one night that he wanted to date this other girl, but I mean, him and I haven't really been together. I don't want to say, like, I don't know if I'd slept around on him or not. I don't remember. I know there were, like, guys in Allentown that they weren't dating, but I don't remember if they were the first time I moved up here or the second time. There was one that I cared about, but, like, I don't know, he was worried about how, a lot of guys were worried about how they would be talked about if they were with me, because I was fat. And I think that's awful. And if I'd had a little more self-esteem and, been a little more of a girl, maybe it wouldn't have been such a big deal. But I was me, and, smart and fat and independent and damaged as fuck, but whatever. It was a big deal. So, anyway, I don't know if I was with him. If he broke up with me, I broke up with him. If we were together at that point, not together, he told me there was this other girl that he wanted to start seeing, and he wanted to know if we could, like, if he could date her but stay with me. And I was like, we have a kid. We've been together for all these years. We were best friends forever. Clearly, like, we're grown in different directions. And I can't, like, if you don't love me anymore, like, I can't be with you. And it was just the way it was. But when I went back to rehab, I had a therapist who told me that I was never going to be okay until it was my decision. Until I felt like I left him instead of him choosing someone else. And I didn't understand what he meant at the time. I thought that he just meant, like, that was it. I was just not going to be okay because somehow I felt like I wasn't good enough. Like, if I'd been good enough, he would have stayed with me, or because I didn't want to break up with him. I broke up with him because he didn't love me anymore, right? That's what I felt like. Okay, hold on. I'm going to pause you for a minute. It's not very super loud, but it is too loud for me to, like, tell this whole story. So I'm going to pause you and run the track in the clip. Alright, so I always do a layer with the ultra mode, and then I run the cleaner, because sometimes, like I said, chunks get stuff and stuck and stuff, and then I run it again on auto mode to make sure I got all the... I don't know what the difference is, honestly, between ultra mode and auto mode. I thought it warmed it, but it doesn't seem to. And both of them, like, give the whole red, green, dirty, not dirty. I have a new stove. I can't get the door to go in right, because it didn't install it for me. I did it for myself. And, you can hear it cleaning. So, I didn't understand what that therapist meant. But years later, me and my now soon-to-be ex-husband got back together. And, like, I think back and really, like, it was my choice. It should have been my choice, right? I went and got clean. And, like, I should have chosen to be looking for someone who was healthy. But I always loved this boy, and I thought, like, love was about the person that you were with, and if you loved them, then that was that. That's what you did. You loved that person. And part of me still feels that way. Who it is does matter. It's not like, people are not socks. You can't just, like, interchange them, okay? It's not like we all have matches, but if you can't find the match, you go take the other one from the same pack, and it's just as good. It's not like that, okay? But at the same time, you do have free agency, your self-will. You can look at a person and say, I like things about you, I love things about you, and yet you're not healthy for me. You are toxic for me. Or you're not ready for me. Or you don't fit the hole that I have in my life. Or I don't have a hole at all, but you don't bring anything to the table that I need. You can say those things, but I didn't know that. That never, like, was something that I'd been taught. So I thought, I met this guy. I had a crush on this guy. He was cute, and he was nice, and we were good friends, and I fell in love with him, and that was that. That's how it had to be. And then when he didn't want me anymore, then it was done. And that was also how it had to be. And that's what my therapist meant. Learning that that's not true. That you don't have to be with somebody just because. That you can say no, that even if it means being alone, or even if it's hard, or even if it's scary. So I remember, after my ex and I got together, we had a fight one time where I said to him, like, if you don't want this life, like, I never lied about what I want from my life. How I want to live, I am fine with, like, a bonfire with some drinks, or smoking some pot, at Thanksgiving dinner, if it's appropriate. Not my Thanksgiving dinner, but, people at my Thanksgiving dinner can. I'm not going to, because pot makes me seasick. I'm not opposed to having fun. I'm not opposed to adults being adults. I like adult behavior, if you know what I mean. And I consider it an important part of life. I wanted romance. I wanted love. I wanted passion. I wanted, equal responsibility for the mental load and the household chores. And I wanted to raise our children as a priority. There were a lot of things I wanted that I'm very honest about, like that they're important to me. It's going to get loud. I'm going to pause you again. All right, vacuum's on the base. It's going to clean itself. My floor is remarkably cleaner than it was. We get to look at the dirty water in a minute. That'll be so much fun after the self-cleaner runs. Wait, it didn't run the self-cleaner. Did you notice that? It's supposed to run the self-cleaner. What happened? Didn't hit the button. You have to hit the button. It doesn't do it automatically. I don't know why. Gavin, did you go to bed yet? I'm pretty sure I told you to go to bed like 45 minutes ago. This was not, do you want to go to bed? This is you're still being grounded. You have a bedtime. I can't hear you, but whatever it is, you need to get it done fast, because you were told to go to bed 45 minutes ago, and it's not schoolwork, is it? The self-cleaning part is the loudest part of that vacuum. I swear to God. The brush roller drying is pretty quiet, but the self-cleaning. Brush roller drying, which is why this particular vacuum is a great feature, because it doesn't get mildewy. But it does take forever. Alright, so we're about to empty the dirty water. And keep in mind, I only did my kitchen. And I had done my kitchen 2 nights ago, 3 nights ago, and we don't wear shoes in our house. So it shouldn't be so bad, right? Really? I mean, that's what you would think. Uh-oh. I hit the wrong button. Damn it. No, not drying function off. Drying function back on. Now it's turning into self-cleaning again. I want to run this. I mean, I do usually run the self-cleaning twice, but usually not until after I dump the water. This is so annoying. It's going to get so loud in here again. And I really want to finish telling my story and go to bed at this point. So, anyway, we got back together, and it was pretty much the same thing. I mean, hold on. Alright, we're going to try that again without hitting the button this time. Because the button's up top, and it's hard to, like, not accidentally hit it sometimes. Okay, here's the dirty water. It's so gross. Ew, I can see, like, chunks of hair and stuff already. So, it's very easy. Take the filter off. If it's gross, you clean it out. You spray the whole plastic thing out. Okay, so I hope the water is not too loud because I have to get on with the story. So we got back together because my child, okay, so he found me on Plenty of Fish. I was actually deactivating my profile, is the funny part. I had been with the other guy for a couple of years, and I knew we weren't going anywhere, but I knew that Plenty of Fish was not, you know, where I was going to want to find people, and I was still getting emails a lot, and they were annoying emails. So I was trying to make it stop, and I guess by logging in at all, you know, it made my profile visible enough that he saw it. This is my favorite part of the whole thing. So I very slowly pour the water into a coffee filter so that it doesn't all go down the drain, but I don't have to put it in my actual, like, water filter. Sometimes I have to, like, take something and, like, squeegee it while I'm doing this because it piles up in clumps. It's so gross. But look at that. It's actually not bad, which tells me that, like, the last time it actually really cleaned my floor, because this is, like, okay, there's gross stuff in there that I have to get out, which means I'm going to have to, like, get it wet and dump it again without my hands, probably, like, holding you. Oh, I could put you up here, though. I bet that would be a better angle for now. Not forever, but for right now. So, my now 23-year-old, who at the time was about 13, who adored me and also adored their father, who lived with their father's family, not with either of us actively, but was working on moving in with me at the time, had come clean about some things that had happened that nobody knew about, and we were working on getting them out of that situation, got us in contact with each other, because my ex had gone to rehab and had lived in a halfway house for 3 years and was supposedly, like, clean and living the right way, and saw me and had asked, you know, my kid to do so. And we talked like time hadn't passed, and we talked for hours. We couldn't stop talking. And then we talked every day. We talked on my lunch break, and we talked after work, and then when my kid went to bed, we would sit up and talk. Like all we did was talk. We were inseparable vocally. And then, like, I would fall asleep on the phone, and he would fall asleep on the phone, and I'd wake up, and he'd call me back, and, you know, it was definite, like, it wasn't even about a relationship, though. It was just compatible friendship and talking. I, of course, still found him incredibly attractive. I always had, I always will, and I guess he found me incredibly attractive also, but I didn't know that. So again, my ego had just been very hurt by being in love with this guy who I was super compatible with, who knew I was super compatible, who agreed that we would be great together, who, you know, would, in almost any of his lucid moments, tell you that, like, we would be best for each other, but could not. So this is the entire floor. That's all I got up. That's, like, really not much. Which tells me they did a good job last time, because it's been 3 days. Well, the floors look way cleaner, so that's cool. That makes me happy. That means it's working. You know, the dirt is coming up. It did come up, like, nasty, like, so you like, run a carpet cleaner over your carpet, and then you do it again, and the water pushes back, and then you do it again, and the water pushes back. Like, your carpet is just 30 years of nasty dirt piled up. That doesn't give me the highest faith in your carpet cleaner after a while. You know, I used to clean offices, and, like, our carpet cleaner got stuff out we ran it the second time, it came out clean. All right, I'm going to start the dishwasher. I'm about done for the night. My kitchen's so much cleaner than it normally is. I love it. I am in nature like a clean person, and my house has been messy for a while. So I just don't care if it's 5 minutes every day. I'm working my way through it, and I am making sure it sort of stays better. But anyway, so things are really good, and as always, I expressed interest in him before he expressed interest in me, the same way I had when we were kids. And when he was ready, he jumped on that interest and asked if he could move in and all this other stuff. And I felt like because he had made me wait, that when it moved super fast, it wasn't moving super fast. But when I look back now, it definitely was. Which is the same thing he did when we were younger. He wasn't interested, and I was just his best friend for over a year. And then all of a sudden, I was living with him and sleeping with him and pregnant with his kid. And that was all at his timetable. Everything was always his timetable. It's funny because his family swears that I tricked him, into getting pregnant and stuff. But everything, actually, TMI and everything, but I bought condoms. I went to my work, because I worked at 7-Eleven, and I purchased condoms and put them on him and made sure they were being used, and he took them off. And he'll tell you he took them off. Not necessarily because he wanted us to have our child, but because he didn't care if we had our child. It wasn't for him the life-altering repercussion it was for me, and what he did care about was that he enjoyed it as much as possible. Kids, right? But, it took me a long time to realize how narcissistic he was. What he was really looking for was never, he was never actually in love, is the whole thing. He was never in romantic love with me. And back to the original story. So I asked him one time when we were fighting, I was you've always known what I wanted. Sorry, just had to have a long talk with my teenager about the fact that when I say go to bed, it's not negotiation time, it's go to bed time. Let's be clear, my kids are phenomenal children. But my ex taught them a lot of disrespect, and they don't even realize that they're being disrespectful. They will tell you they love me, they will tell you they adore me, they will tell you they cherish me, but when I tell them to do something, they don't do it. And it's not in a defiant way. They just think it's an option. Just don't do it. When I'm parenting my youngest, my middle child will literally sit there and parent on top of me. I'm not even talking, the same way his father did. His stepfather, who he no longer calls his stepfather, but it's the same way he used to treat me. When I tell him something that's a fact, he will question me. Not like a normal teenager, but in a way, the same way that his stepfather did. Despite the fact that I've never lied to him. His stepfather was insistent that I was the least trustworthy person on the planet. Which is funny because he's the one who was lying about finances and relationships and jobs and drugs and where he was. See, my ex lied like a fish drinks water. I don't know what fish drink, breathe water. Yeah, he did that. Anyway, it was my decision this time, and I don't regret it. I am sad that the boy that I loved when I was 19 doesn't exist anymore. I'm sad that when I look at the picture of us on top of the mountain in Tennessee when I was pregnant with our first child and we were so happy, that story is tainted. That the seagull who stole my funnel cake is going to ruin funnel cakes for the rest of my life now. Because he did. He learned to make funnel cakes for me. He did a couple of things. He tried. As much as someone who wasn't in love could, he tried to love. But he also abused. And he took. And he had to be told to think about anyone but himself on a regular basis. And he had good moments, he had good patches. He wasn't always bad. I used to say I didn't think he was abusive, he just had abusive behaviors. I didn't think he was a narcissist, he just had narcissistic phases. I don't know if that's true anymore. Sometimes if you just choose not to get help for long enough, you become your illness, right? I genuinely, I realized recently I don't think about him. The hardest thing to accept is that I wake up and I go look at some funny thing on Facebook and I don't think, hey, Siege would love this. Or I hear some song and don't think, I wonder if I should send him this link. I wonder if he's heard this yet. Or, really hard is we're struggling with our youngest needing, the school thinks he needs another IEP because he's been tripping, but he only trips at the school. Which is really weird because he does karate, he's a very active kid, he rock climbs, he runs, he does 1 mile runs, I do 5Ks. He never trips anywhere but the school. But they think he needs another IEP for it. He has a physical disability and he is blind. Don't get me wrong. He is legally blind. He has some serious eye issues, but I think it's either a behavioral thing, he's enjoying the reward of going to the nurse, or it's the fluorescent light shining on the shiny floor, or it's I know he also is having trouble with friends and stuff, so I don't think, and I told the school this, and then they sent me a letter, and they're like, the teachers and the sports staff and the mom, and that's not true, and this was written by the speech lady, it's not even by his vision lady, and the speech lady never once talked to me, so I'm really just kind of frustrated right now, but in the past, the first thing I would have done is talk to him. And today, the first thing I did was call my 23-year-old. And, the opposite of love isn't hate. The opposite of love is apathy. I don't care if he dates someone else. I don't care if he dates some fake sex bot who is really a 50-year-old in a basement somewhere pretending to be barely legal with, I don't care. I think it's sad. I think it's pathetic, and I think it's preventing him from being a good father. But I don't care anymore. I don't care to save him. I don't care if I hurt his feelings. I used to care that if I left, maybe he wouldn't come back. But I don't care anymore. I care that I'm alone because I want to find someone. I've been very honest about that. But if he called me today, I wouldn't take him back. I care that the person who's walking around is not the person I fell in love with. And the person who's walking around killed the person I fell in love with is how I feel. And I get that's melodramatic. And, people who truly lost a loved one to murder have every right to hate me for saying it, because I'm sure it's not the same. But it's the feeling of how I feel. He made these active decisions to behave the way he did, and now the person I loved is gone. What else can you call it, right? But, way back to what I was originally, so I had this fight, and I had said to him, from the beginning what I wanted from life. What I wanted, everything. I never lied about everything that mattered to me, everything I wanted. And you don't want that. You want a life where you get high and you drink and you party whenever you want, and if we don't have the bill money, whatever, and if, go live in a cave with no running water, you'd be fine, whatever, you're just going to fall out anytime you want, and you don't care about romance or love or partnership or sex or any of that either. You just don't care. If you feel like talking to someone else, I should be happy with it, and if you want my attention, that's great, I should give it to you, and if you don't, I should go sit down and shut up, and that's what you want. And I'm not saying that you should have to change who you are. What I'm saying is you knew what I wanted and what I didn't want when we met. Why are you barking, dog? Seriously, stop it. So why weren't you just honest with me from the beginning? And he said, well, I knew if I told you the truth, you'd leave me. And I didn't want you to leave me because I liked what you did for me. I liked how you loved me. So, literally, he took my consent away. He created this fantasy that didn't exist, which is, when you ask why women stay, you're asking the wrong question. Women's Day, because by the time we realize what the reality is, it's far too late, and we need to figure out a way out. You need to ask why men stay, why men create these situations that are so not okay, based on such non-connection to reality, because they want a mom, because they want to feel loved, because they want to feel safe, but they don't care. Like, if you genuinely know that telling the truth is going to get the other person to leave you, then why would you want to be with them? Why would you want them to be with you? Why not just admit from the beginning that it's not what it needs to be, and go find someone who's right for you, and let them go find somebody who's right for them? Which is, it might have hurt me. It might have hurt him. We might have had to let go of our fairy tale, right? But guess what? We're there anyway. With a lot of, bad blood along the way. There's another song I want to use. First song of the day I just thought of, but I do song of the days on the other app that I can't put long videos on. I don't know. I got into sociology and anthropology and all this to try and understand relationships and to try and understand why people behave the way they do. And I still don't think I understand it, to be honest. I'm trying to, but I just don't, because I would never lie to somebody to get what I want. Because what I want, literally you can't get intimacy by lying. It doesn't make any sense to me. Alright, I've got to go to bed. It's late. I've got a lot of schoolwork to do tomorrow. Thanks for working through this with me. I'm going to be okay. You're going to be okay. He's going to be okay. We're all going to be okay. And my floors are cleaner, so that's cool. Good night.